Hello there everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is Botox Games. Today we are talking about the Nintendo Switch Online Playtest because late last night people got codes, people were able to get into the game, and most importantly, on the official Nintendo website, if you got accepted into the playtest, they actually give you a rundown of the game as well as some screenshots. Now, if you missed it, I actually posted a video late last night where I showed these screenshots, even though it wasn't for me, even though I didn't accept the terms and agreements. Showing just any screenshots from this beta test seems to be a major no-no. Nintendo is taking down Twitter posts. They are taking down videos that show anything about it. So today we are going to talk about all of the information we have. I cannot show you these screenshots. There are only a few. You're not missing out too much, but I will be talking about everything we know because this playtest is very interesting. Nintendo is seemingly at least prototyping or playtesting some sort of new MMO creativity, Minecraft, Roblox, social, PlayStation Home metaverse experience, and it is absolutely bonkers. Let's talk about it. Alrighty, folks, a good Monday morning. I hope the start to the new week is treating you well. Today, we're talking about this dang playtest. There have been so many speculations and theories on what this could actually be. GameCube NSO, maybe it's some sort of just new F-Zero 99 style game. Maybe it's a new game entirely. It seems to be a new game, but also I'm hesitant to say it's actually a new game. Now, when I first saw this last night, when I recorded that video, that is unfortunately copyright strike by Nintendo, at first, my thought was, yeah, this is definitely a new game. But then when you look more into it, it really does feel like some kind of like very early prototyping almost for what could be the future of Nintendo's multiplayer titles, which is definitely very interesting, I would say, especially if you're a fan of like Animal Crossing and Splatoon, maybe Mario Maker as well. There are some very interesting details about this playtest, this game, this experience that we will be able to play on Wednesday. I believe at 6 p.m. Pacific time, this playtest goes live. And while the information on the website isn't, totally conclusive, right? Like, we don't have all of the details. We have a lot to talk about, including gameplay details, what it actually is, all the, like, user-generated content terms they have going on here is definitely a little weird. So I figured since I can't show you the actual website, and since a lot of you were not able to get into it, I would just read to you everything about this game and kind of theorize and speculate as we go on. I'm not even going to show screenshots of the text from the website because I feel like Nintendo is actually being very strict about this, which I will say I am surprised by. They said, like, in the terms and agreements, like, hey, don't show this, don't share this around. I didn't think they were actually going to strike stuff because they didn't do that for the Switch Sports playtest. They didn't do that for Pikmin Bloom, and those were very similar where they had people agree, like, hey, don't share this around. But in those two cases, there were no ramifications. But with this, my video was taken down in about 2.5 hours in the middle of the night. So it was very quickly, and I'm not too upset about that. They didn't actually strike the entire channel. They just blocked the video. They copyright blocked the video. So not a huge deal for me. But I do want to cover this for you all because I do find it very, very intriguing. So let's just go ahead and get into this. Starting off with the game's purpose. That is the first thing they talk about here. The image is showing that like black globe from the little teaser image they put out on Twitter. It's that black globe, but it has a bunch of blue tiles on there as well as like little kind of comments or like comment bubbles or message bubbles, a bunch of different lines and stuff. And they say in this game, the goal is to work with others to fully, in air quotes, develop a massive, expansive planet by utilizing creativity and farmed resources. As you progress across the planet, you'll discover new lands, enemies, and resources that will become essential to your journey. So that right there is already kind of telling me that, like, I don't know. I'll love to hear what you guys think in the comments down below. From what we're seeing in the screenshots, which once again I cannot show you, it looks very early. A lot of it looks like very prototypey stuff. But then also there's enemies and resources and like actual like deep mechanics that aren't necessarily just for like testing servers, right? I guess if you want to test like how enemies act on a server with 100 people or whatever, however many people you have in an instance in this game, we don't know yet. I guess you could be testing AI in that way, or enemy AI in that way, but it sounds like there's like actual mechanics, and there's more of that we'll get to. But first of all, this idea of developing a massive, expansive planet by utilizing creativity and farmed resources, that sounds very... It kind of sounds like Minecraft, doesn't it? It really does kind of sound like Minecraft, but more of like a social element or a twist on it, so to speak. Now we'll move on here. It says how to develop, and the image shows kind of like these terrariums or these planetariums that they have. They say, throughout your adventure, players will be granted special tools known as beacons. These beacons emit a healing light that purifies and develops the land. The higher your beacon is placed, the wider its beacon zone becomes. Within your beacon zone, your best work can be done. Players will repeat the process until their current planetary block is considered fully developed. So what we're actually looking at in these images here, which I'm so sorry I cannot show you, but Nintendo will take the video down. It's these very tall domes that are emitting green light, and within each dome is a separate player's kind of beacon, I guess, or separate area of development, and it literally looks like a Minecraft blocks. Like, it is cubes like in Minecraft, and all of these different people, they're just kind of going as high as they can, because they say here, the higher your beacon is placed, the wider its beacon zone becomes. So the idea is to get as high as possible. So these aren't the most, glamorous structures being built. They're literally just like, in Minecraft, when you're just like, oh, I want to go to the clouds, and you just start building like 1 block high things, and you're just like jumping up, even though you're gonna fall and take damage, right? Like, that's what these towers look like. So that's a little weird. It is very Minecrafty, very creativity focused, but we'll continue on here. The beacons players receive will be their most valuable tool. You are the master of your beacon zone. Only you can move, lift, or edit items within your beacon's lights. Just as others cannot edit things within your beacon zone, you cannot edit things in someone else's beacon zone. Places outside of beacon zones are public areas that anyone can work in. In public areas, anyone can pick things up, place them, and edit them. To protect your builds and precious items, you'll want to store them inside your beacon zone for safekeeping. And this image shows what I believe will actually be kind of like what we're seeing in game. It's a very like third person perspective, right? Think of like a like it's like like Pikmin or something, right? But then you have this huge dark area. It's completely dark. It's pitch black except for these beacon zones that are emitting light. So I guess the idea is overall you're working together to build as many tall, skyscraper beacon zones to grant light to this dark world. I guess that's the idea here. But we do see in the image they're kind of demonstrating that like another player cannot mess with a block in your beacon zone, which is cool. It's nice to know that people won't be able to ruin whatever you're working on. But we also get our first look at the characters of this game. Now, there was a lot of speculation before when they announced this playtest. If it was going to be some sort of social thing, maybe it would be Mii's. Maybe they were bringing back Mii's as a major focus. It is not Mii's. Instead, what we have are these caveman like creatures. Huge shout out to my girlfriend Olivia for doing a quick little drawing, a quick little doodle of what these look like. Nintendo, this is not yours. Someone else made it. It is fan art. But yeah, this is kind of what they look like. Now, they also have these like weird glowing tails that are, blue and white, and it looks like you can use them in a variety of different ways. So in the screenshot I'm looking at right now, you can connect this tail whip, whatever you want to call it, 2 blocks and move them around, it looks like. But in this case, because it's someone else's beacon zone, there's actually a lock symbol on it. But it looks like that's how you'll be moving around blocks, maybe. We also see later on, you can seemingly use it like a Spider-Man web and kind of like swing around in the hub, which is crazy. But we'll talk about that more in a little bit. But yeah, this is the design of the characters. Generally speaking, there are like different colors for the characters as well. And it looks like there might be accessories because in one of them, they have like a space helmet on. That might just be when you're doing like the expeditions into the dark area and building up your planetary beacon. But yeah, this is the design of the characters. I actually like this a lot. I know some people will be disappointed it's not Mii's. I actually like that it's something unique and different. And I would say this is one of the bigger indicators that it is not just going to be them testing features for some other games. This is actually a character. Like, they designed this character, and there are other things in this, in all the text here, that indicate to me that this is actually something they want to make an actual thing. It's not just a prototype. There's like actual like personality here a little bit that I don't know if they would include if it was just prototype tools for whatever the next Splatoon is or the next Animal Crossing, if that makes sense. Next up, we have the Dev Core. The Dev Core is a separate space from the planet you'll be developing. Think of it as a social hub to gather with other players. At the Dev Core, you can level up your character, get items you will need for your journey, commune with others, and more. This is definitely the craziest screenshot because it looks to be it's your social hub, like they say, but there is a ton of players here. Let me count real quick, actually, how many people are in this one screenshot. Okay, so I obviously I can't show it, but by my count, it looks like there's 31 players in the screenshot. Some of them are very far in the distance, so I might have miscounted. But at the very least, there's 30 characters in the screenshot, which means there will be 30 player hubs, which means the biggest multiplayer game Nintendo has ever made, Splatoon's 4v4, right? So that's probably the biggest they've done, or I guess Mario Kart being, 8 players. So this is definitely the biggest multiplayer game they will have ever made, and there's a lot going on here. So like I said, you can see players kind of swinging around with their blue-white tail whip thing. So you're able to swing around. One of them, I guess, is emoting. Maybe they're like floating and like hovering with their tail whip. There's other characters emoting. Some of them are laying down. Some of them have like little text bubbles above their head. So there's a lot of like social features here that you can kind of communicate with other players on. You also see some different customization for your little caveman character, where you have like different colored hair or something like that. But also, there's just other stuff going on. There's this whole blue and red theme that makes me think there will be some sort of Splatfest equivalent here. Like, you know, it's red versus blue. So some sort of team element to this game, because you also see on the side of the screen, there's literally like, it looks like there's combat in this game. We don't hear too much about it in the details on this website, but you literally see on the left side of this image, there's a blue icon, a red icon, and like clashing swords in the middle. So while we don't hear too much about what combat could be in this game, it sounds like there will be some sort of combat, especially when we get to another screenshot that actually show you have like a hearts, like a Zelda game, which is crazy. You also see on the right side of the screen, it looks like some sort of like schooling area. I think I have an idea for what that might be. We'll talk about that in just a second. There's also one of these caveman creatures coming out of like a green box. So I don't know what that is, but I'm describing it as best as I can because this is bonkers, man. I mean, this is our first, if this is a new game, right? Like if this is actually going to be a product that has a title that Nintendo releases, whether it's free to play, whether it's sold, whether it's exclusive to Switch Online, whatever it is, this is our first look at like new Nintendo IP since, in any major way, since ARMS, which was 7 years ago. So this is a pretty big deal. Even if it's not like something that gets a finalized release, this is our first look at like originally designed Nintendo characters. I guess it's possible this is being outsourced, but I highly doubt it. This definitely feels like something that maybe EPD4 made, the Game Builder Garage team, I would say, has their fingerprints all over this. That's the vibe I'm getting. But yeah, that's that screenshot. Totally crazy. Excited to see what that hub is all about. There's also like a black robot. It's all black and it has like blue eyes. Not sure what that's about. It's like a cube. And let's go into what they say here, though. They say, at the dev core, you can level up your character, get items you will need for your journey, and commune with others. So you level up your character. Your character has a level. That's weird. But also, you get items for your journey. I don't know what those items are. Maybe they're weapons if there's combat, but maybe it's also just these different types of blocks or something. I'm not really too sure. Your guess is as good as mine. All right, next up we have some images talking about the leveling up of your character called dev points. Anytime players make progress in developing the planet with the beacon's light, they'll earn dev points. Players can use dev points in the dev core to raise their development level. By increasing your development level with these points, you can obtain convenient items for further development activities. We don't really get an idea of what those items are. Then they say here about Connex points or Connects points. It's like connect, but with an X. Players earn Connects points by interacting with other players in a variety of ways. Players can use Connects points in the dev core to raise their connection level. By increasing your connection level, players will have access to fun community-related items. So once again, we don't know what that would be. Community-related items, I would say that sounds like skins, emotes, that kind of thing, just to kind of, you know, give you some more stuff to do in the dev core, the hub of this game, kind of mess around with your friends. So you have a development level as well as a connection level. Development level gives you items that will help further your development activity, so making bigger beacons and bringing more light to the world. And you have your connection level that will give you more community-related items. I can only imagine that's like emotes and skins, like I said. Now, in these screenshots, you're in a completely black-gray void. I don't know if that's just for this demonstration of the image, because in the top right, they show like the icon for the Connects points. I don't know if that's all the rest is grayed out because they're showing color in that and they just want to put a focal point on that, or if this is some other like editor mode or something, because in the screenshot you also see there's a health bar. It looks taken straight out of a Zelda game where the character has, I believe, 10 hearts or so, and 3 of them are filled, but then they have a bunch of blank hearts. You also see in the bottom left the D-pad. The right does like a thumbs up. The up on the D-pad is like a handshake, and then the left on the D-pad is a message bubble with an exclamation point. In the top left of this image, there is a globe. If you press minus, you can like view the globe, I'm guessing. And then there's also some, it looks like Photoshop layers almost on the right, where you see like layers literally of like blocks. So I'm not sure what that is, but that's really intriguing. This part is crazy. UGC features. Our UGC, or user-generated content features, will allow players to create content that they can use themselves, as well as share with other players. You can make all sorts of different UGC in-game. You can receive feedback by sharing the UGC you create with other players. To create UGC, you must obtain a UGC license by taking a test in the game to show that you understand the importance of respectful communication. Now, we have a little bit more on this a little bit later when we get to the FAQ on this website. This is really weird, though, because, first of all, that sounds like, if this is like a prototype for future online games, this sounds like something that they could easily implement in Animal Crossing or Mario Maker, where you have to be verified to share, let's say, your patterns on Animal Crossing, or your levels on Mario Maker, right? Like, this is something very interesting, but also, it's a license, and, like, it kind of, like the way they're calling it licensed and the way you have to take a test in a game, it kind of feels like it's adding like a level of personality to these little caveman creatures. But that is a very interesting way of kind of policing and moderating ways that people are sharing content so that you're not getting people posting, well, bad things, we'll say. But here's what's also weird about this. It doesn't say what the content is. We will allow players to create content that they can use themselves as well as share with other players. You can make all sorts of different UGC in game. What does that mean? Are they talking about blocks? Are they talking about cosmetics? What are they talking about when they say user-generated content? To me, this sounds like something like a Roblox, like a Game Builder Garage, like a Sony Dreams, where maybe you're making levels or something. I really don't know what that could be. What kind of content can you create that it would be such an important feature of this game to be on this website? Like, what could that be? If you have any better ideas than me, I would love to hear them. For me, that sounds like some sort of like level editor or like, I don't know. Maybe it's just the blocks. Maybe it's the blocks you place in your beacons, and that's it. Maybe you have different color blocks. I don't know. That doesn't sound exciting enough though to have it be a prominent feature on here. They have a quick section on the reporting in this game, of course, just saying report players if you see any inappropriate content that other players have created, or if you find them just kind of generally being a bad egg, right? Then we have this whole thing on the development positioning system, or DPS. Every player is equipped with a special skill known as the DPS, the Development Positioning System. This allows players to see a wide array of details, including the development status of the planets and the positions of other players. And the screenshot on this one is crazy. Think of like, I'm trying to think, what's like the silver blob thing in Pikmin? The whole background, it looks like you're inside of him or something, and you're in this huge black void, and there's black and blue tiles everywhere, but you also see player icons on the map. It's like if you like do like a top-down view of like the US or something, like a map, right? And it's like you're just really zoomed out, but then you see all these different player icons, you see all these different like trails, I presume, where players have been or like where they've gone, kind of like the Hero's Path mode in Breath of the Wild. I think that's what that probably is, kind of showing you where players have gone in this big, empty, dark area. We also have these different cube icons. I assume those are beacons because some of them are bigger blue circles, but then you also have smaller circles. So I assume that's like the big circle. That's someone's like really developed beacon, right? And I think the goal is to just light up this entire square, and then you complete that square, I guess. It looks really crazy for a Nintendo game. It looks very it looks like Game Builder Garage. That's really the vibe I'm getting from this. So I do think this is probably from that team. They also detail a Spectate feature. With the DPS's Spectate feature, players can see beacons and other players from great distances. And they say that because the software is for verification, you cannot turn this feature off, so you'll be able to spectate other players if you want to. I don't know why you would want to. Here they say if you've misplaced your beacon, you can use the DPS to warp to it. If for some reason you are unable to locate your beacon, please visit the dev mind in the dev core. They don't say what the dev mind is, but they do have a screenshot here where your little caveman guy is in this big white void, and there's like a weird planet with a weird black ball of goop in the middle of it, as well as a bunch of other shapes. Your little caveman guy's holding a green cube. I assume that's the dev mind, I guess, and the black goop is the planet that you're in, or something. I sound like a madman trying to explain what this is, but yeah, it's very out there stuff. This is a very interesting thing for Nintendo to do. A lot of it feels like, a lot of the screenshots look like, okay, this is like an early development thing, but then also I look at Game Builder Garage, and it kind of looks exactly like that in my mind, of like a product that Nintendo would release that maybe will help kids or help people kind of learn about creativity and just kind of creating new things. So it does definitely give me those vibes. They say the game's save data is saved automatically, not on the player Switch system, but on the server. So you can close the game at any time and pick up where you left off. We expect the save data to carry on throughout the playtest period, but if an unexpected issue occurs in the system, there is a possibility that the player's save data will be deleted without prior notice. Thank you for understanding. And that's basically it for that. So that is like the bulk of the information. I know that's a lot to take in, but that is the bulk of it. And all of that sounds wild. Like, I mean, I'm going to be playing this in a couple of days. I won't be able to show my footage. I'll talk about it for sure. But that is a lot of information to take in without a lot of context. We don't have context for why we're doing this. Why are we building up these beacons to light up the planet? What's the end goal here? To light up just the entire planet and that's it? Is there any kind of story? Is there any kind of like lore reason for this? Are they going to give us that kind of like info dump? Or is it just going to be, hey, you're just lighting the stuff up? Is that it? We're hearing that there's enemies, and it looks like there's combat in the game, but we don't have that explained. We're hearing about all this user-generated content and how you can make all this content and how you have to take a test to be allowed to post user-generated content, but they don't say what kind of content that is. But there are a few more little pieces of information that we can kind of get from the FAQ on the website here. So the first thing I want to say is they have this little how-to on like how to report something. Just some controls things here I guess I'll include, just, for being, completely in-depth with this video. They say there are 2 ways to make a report. To report the thing you are standing on, press and hold the left button while standing on something to report it. To report the thing you're aiming at, press and hold the left button while aiming at something with the ZL button to report it. So maybe you'll have like a cursor or something. So like when you're aiming at it, maybe that's with your like little blue light tail whip thing. Maybe that's how you're aiming with that. I'm not too sure, but yeah, that's how you report players in this game. You can change your name in the settings, and I'm actually noticing something new here that I do find very intriguing. So we know that this playtest is lasting until November 5th, right? In the FAQ, they say you can change your profile name by following the steps below, but you cannot change it again for 30 days once you change it. This test isn't even going to last 30 days, which I think that right there, that is a major indicator that this will be something they release maybe a year down the line, maybe sooner down the line if this is the finished product and they're just kind of having fun with it and kind of showing it to us in this way. Maybe this is our November game that I've talked about so much over the past couple of months. I mean, I think that's possible. But yeah, the fact that they're saying like, yeah, you can change it again after 30 days is, that basically confirms it's something real, right? Because the playtest is only 15 days or 14 days. So that's crazy. This one is very intriguing here. They say, why can't I obtain my UGC license? To obtain your license, please complete the following steps. You must pass the UGC license test. Please visit the UGC license test site in the dev core, then take the license test. To pass this test, you must answer all of its questions correctly. Please note that this test is held at regular intervals, and you may attempt it as many times as you like. And then once you pass the test, you will be able to obtain your license by obtaining it from the Connect shop in the dev core. So there's a shop. There's like a themed shop. I really do think, like, I'm tossing and turning on this, but I really do think that like this is a game. We don't know the name of it, but like, it's the Connect shop. There's a shop in this game. There's emotes in this game. This has to be like an actual product they're planning on releasing. But then they also have this here. Where is my test credit balance or the UGC license that I obtained? If you do not have a test credit balance or your UGC license, please select recover data in the Connect shop. What is test credit? They don't explain what a test credit is. Something you get for passing the test, I assume, but why would there be credits for it? We don't know. How does energy work? Energy is a limited resource that players can expend to perform certain actions. So that right there sounds like a mobile game or something, but I don't think it is, right? I don't think it's going to be like waiting in time because they actually say it's not. If you run out of energy, you will no longer be able to do certain things like fusing. What is fusing? we don't know what fusing is. I assume is it fusing objects together to stack them like blocks? Or is there some other fusing mechanic in this game that they are not explaining? Although your energy is not automatically restored over time, there are various ways of manually restoring it, such as taking a dip in the hot springs in the dev core or converting cards in your inventory into energy. What are cards? There's a hot springs in the dev core. The more I read about this, the more I'm talking about it in this video, the less this sounds like just a beta test and more like this is like an actual video game. This isn't just them testing for the future of Animal Crossing or Splatoon. And it's possible that it is, right? A lot of these things could be used for that. They're testing multiplayer with 30 plus people. So maybe it is just that, but the way this game has like its own identity already with these caveman characters, there's a hot spring, there's shops and stuff. This sounds like a full game to me, even though I'm confused on what you're actually doing. Like there's combat, I guess, but it's crazy, man. And then final thing here, final little nuggets of information on the website. I lost track of my beacon. What now? You can track down the location of your beacon by finding it in the list or searching for it on the map. Both methods are described below. Using the list, so press the minus button, then press ZR, and then press the L or R button until your beacon sections appears, then find your beacon. So you'll be able to have multiple beacons. You can assume that makes sense, right? So you're not going to be like having to get rid of it and then put a new one somewhere. You will have several beacons in this game. They also mention how you can press the minus button to open up a map, and that you can warp to your beacons for 100 energy. And then it says, if neither of the above methods results in locating your beacon, you can visit the dev mine in the inner area of the dev core to receive a replacement beacon. So energy, I imagine when you level up your development level, maybe you get more energy for that way, right? Like maybe that increases how much you have at a time, and then you restore it by doing the hot springs and stuff, and maybe just playing mini games with other players in the dev core, which is the hub. This game sounds pretty content filled. Like there's a lot of different things going on here. There's combat, there's building these Minecraft skyscrapers, there's shops, there's all these different things, there's user generated content. So it sounds like there's a lot going on here, and to me, I've convinced myself while making this video, like I think this is probably a full game. Now something interesting, I don't know how this would work. it does have an ESRB rating on this website. It has an E for everyone of mild fantasy violence. So that right there, I think, also re-solidifies the idea that there will be some enemies. Maybe you're attacking them with your tail whip or whatever. But it has an ESRB rating. If this were not a game that was being like released for sale, would it need an ESRB rating? It probably would, because we're still playing it. They're still offering it to us as a benefit of Switch Online. But also, the idea of an actual like prototype build of some game that's not going to exist, the idea of that having a ESRB rating is very weird to me. So I think this is a full game. I think they will announce it maybe by the time this video goes up, man, you know? Probably not, because they took down videos. But I do think they will announce this hopefully in the near future after the test goes on. And this will be something we see maybe early 2025 for the current Switch. And maybe it will be something that carries over to the Switch 2, right? Like, I mean, certainly it will if that's backwards compatible. But, I mean, this is such an interesting new thing from Nintendo that's, you know, like I said at the top, I know people are going to be like, oh, I wish it was GameCube. I wish it was this. I wish it was that. I prefer this, and here's why. Like, I understand, like, yeah, I really want GameCube games as well on Switch Online. This is something completely unexpected. This is something completely new. We are going to get GameCube games eventually. It might be a year from now. It might be 5 years from now. GameCube Switch Online is going to happen. And if it doesn't happen, all of those GameCube games will be brought over in some way, shape, or form. Like, you will be able to play Wario World and Chibi Robo and Luigi's Mansion 1 on a Switch 2. I believe that at some point in time. But this is something just completely out of left field, something very uniquely Nintendo. We're seeing new character designs for a new IP from Nintendo tonight, and I think that is just so exciting. So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What do you think of everything that I just read to you? What do you think this game is? I'm sure you can find the images if you look around on the internet, but like I said, Nintendo is taking stuff down. They're taking down videos that show everything. I hope they don't take down this for me just talking about it. I don't think they will, but we'll see. And yeah, just let me know your thoughts, and subscribe for more. I will be covering this playtest when I can and how I can. I will be playing it as well, but unfortunately, I can't, you know, show footage of that. So we will see. Of course, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at BotoxGames. Check me out on my other channel at It's Amiibo. And until next time, folks, peace.